candy store. Put the leather on the denim. I ain't the cure, I'm the venom. If you wanna find me, find the taillight. Something's coming in, you're gonna wanna take a red eye. It's time to go. It's time to go. Get ready. Get ready. Get ready. Don't blink, don't blink. Get ready.
Magandang araw po sa inyong lahat, kayong mga lahat ng kikinig from all over the world, and especially for those OFWs na medyo worried na about our geopolitical situation here in the Philippines. Ito po yung likod Paglinawan ng Maestro at 121, meaning 21 episodes na po. At ang title po ng ating pagtalakay ngayong araw na ito ay SCS, meaning South China Sea, Obfuscation by Neophytes. Ayan po mga kabansa. Pinakikita namin sa inyo, Panggugulo ng mga Sisiw. Ayan. Alam po ninyo, kahapon kami nagpunta sa opisina ng Executive Director ng Media Security under the Presidential Communications Operations Office. At nakipag-usap po kami kay Paul Gutierrez over what we were worried about. Not really worried emotionally, but worried for the purposes of our freedom and democracy about the chilling impact of the apparent witch hunt of innocent, independent public intellectuals, think tanks, citizens, journalists, and advocates in order to convey the results of our discussion to ensure the safety of the said information community. At actually po, scheduled kami sa Lunes to serve this letter to the Honorable Eduardo Anyo, the National Security Advisor. Ano po? Ayan, it's a letter to the National Security Advisor. But first, we had a dialogue with Paul Gutierrez ng Presidential Task Force for Media Security. At ito po ang sulat ni Carmen Dong Laurel. Tutuloy natin. We also seek to clarify many points you aired, taking off from the information reported by U.S.-funded media. That is the Philippine Center for Investigative Journalism, which on October 24, 2023 was carried by various newspapers and broadcast media such as ABS-CBN report headline. Officials warns against Filipinos echoing China's script on West Philippine Sea, quote-unquote. According to the reports, you talked about these groups in an interview with the Philippine Center for Investigative Journalism, where he said there might be a Chinese information operation in the country. Ayan, mga kabansa. And of course, that was the PCIJ. Article was written by Camille Efemia. Philippines confronts unlikely adversary in the South China Sea row. Ayan, no? Which Herman Chu Laurel, president of the think tank Asian Century Philippine Strategic Studies Institute, Inc., was interviewed and cited. Your assistant director, Jonathan Malaya, was interviewed after the release of the U.S.-funded PCIJ's article, which followed by another U.S.-funded outlet, Rappler, where Malaya said that the research institutions or think tanks and certain individuals such as myself are echoing the side of China in an ongoing territorial dispute in the West Philippine Sea, and we have been monitoring them since the water cannon incident. Ayan po mga kabansa, Malaya added that meron nga silang mga forum na inorganize, and in these forums, very obvious, yung script ng China, na kung ano yung sabi ng foreign minister or foreign ministry ng China, yun din ang sasabihin nila. Let us hear this video cut at this point.
Do you think po ba, Yusek, na meron pa bang naniniwala dun nga sa propaganda ng China sa ngayon?
Well, that's a good question, no? And mukhang meron, no? Meron. May mga nakikita akong mga influencers, and there are certain organizations sa ating bansa
Sa
na
ating
are following
bansa? Teka lang.
Yes.
Sa ating bansa?
Kapwa Pilipino, ha? Ganon.
Yes, opo, namomonitor po natin yan, and we have been monitoring them since the water cannon incident. Kasi meron nga sila mga forum na ino-organize, and in this forum, very obvious yung script ng China, na kung ano yung sabihin ng foreign minister or foreign ministry spokesperson ng China, yun din ang sasabihin nila.
Kaya mga kamansa, ang verbal abuse na inabot ng mga bloggers at journalists na pag sila ay sumulat at patungkol sa issue at ito ay pro-China, ay mga mouthpieces na sila. Pero tuloy natin ang letter ni Herman Chu Laurel para kay Ed Anyo na National Security Advisor po ngayon. Anya, allow me to correct this erroneous impression as the ACP researches, analyzes, and writes on a wide variety of issues, of which Philippine-China relations is only one. Every week we delve into other purely Philippine issues in economics, politics, finance, and consumer affairs that has no relevance to China issues. Meaning, ang sinasabi po nila dito ay very sweeping yung statement ng isang high official na under Eduardo Anyo. Inamin niya na we do organize regular media forums and Zoom seminars on these and a myriad of issues, but as US-funded local think tanks such as CSIS and ADRI, Alberto Rosario Institute, and media outlets like PCIJ and Rappler, as well as several government spokesmen, continuously focus on megaphone diplomacy and South China Sea dispute. So we are also dutifully follow and dive deep into their veracity. And yeah, we found his statements colored with inaccuracies and bias of the US-funded local media groups that cannot be sustained by facts. By the way, nag-enclose po sila ng mga attachments showing who these US-funded local groups are. We in our research, however, uncover and validate crucial information that are vital to our nation's security, stability, economic productivity, and the promotion of people's welfare. For example, we have been able to uncover some vital information crucial to the nation's foreign relations policies, such as evidence of the Philippines' agreement with China that is crucial to settling a current controversy over the Yungin Shoal. China never raised this. It is words uttered by former Philippine Defense Secretary Voltaire Gasmin, spoken with Chinese Ambassador Ma Kejing in 2013 and reported to the Philippines Daily Inquirer. Nilabas din po ito ng GMA. Do it. Ito po sabi ni Voltaire Gasmin. They were concerned with the Philippines coming up with structures, additional structures in the Yungin Shoal. And I told them that the ship is moving towards the Yungin is only for provisions of food and water for soldiers who are there. Klaro-klaro po yan. Sabi ni Voltaire Gasmin sa mga reporters. The BRP Sierra Madre is the Philippines Navy's attachment on Yungin Shoal. Quote, Gasman said he assured Ma that the Philippines would not build structures there. We will not violate the agreement. Merong agreement. Ayan. Not to construct new structures. At least not to construct new structures. We told them we only are bringing supplies for our troops there. Like water, food. There will also be a rotation of troops because we can't put our men there permanently or they will go crazy. Alam po ninyo sa foreign relations, hindi lahat ay nakasulat. At mas epektibo nga po yung tinatawag na customary international law kung saan meron lamang kasunduan at kasunduan ay nasusunod. Laban sa mga nakasulat na mga agreement na nababiolate naman. The 18th century Philippines conduct its own researches and raises facts and never conjectures as what PCIJ and Jonathan Malaya of the National Security Council is doing and creating a great disservice to the information flow to the national public. Needless to emphasize, monitoring of the National Security Council creates a chilling effect on our nation's freedom of information and right to free speech. And if Assistant Director Malaya is to be believed, the national security agencies are now afraid of ideas, information, and truths instead of guns, gold, and goons of the NPA, the insurgent and terrorist fundamentalist groups, and the political warlords they are apparently now paying little attention to, and even ally with, in the case of the legal front operations of the CPP and PA. Ayan po yung nakita nyo dito sa picture. Si Voltaire Gasman, kausap yung ambassador ng China. Yan po yung pinatutungkulan na news clipping. The worst part of the current national security apparatus' apparent pattern is to act seemingly in accordance with the strategic plans of the United States of America's strategy of tension and build its offensive preparations in Asia. Alam po niyo, napapansin namin na for the first time in the history of the NSA ay masyadong involved kayo. Bakit kayo ang naka-front sa debate? Hindi niyo trabaho yan. Trabaho yan ng Presidential Communications Operation. Trabaho yan ng Department of Foreign Affairs. At yung Philippine Coast Guard, nakaharap na rin. At sa Philippine Coast Guard, yung J. Tariela, dito naman sa National Security Advisor's Office, ay itong si Jonathan Malaya, and you are proclaiming public policies and interpreting foreign policies which is not within your mandate. Hindi kayo dapat ang nag-e-echo ng mga ganyan. Hindi kayo dapat ang nakikipagdebate sa publiko, sa media, sa mga journalists tungkol sa mga issues na ganyan. Because you don't make policies. You are only a national security advisor. And the policies are made by the President of the Philippines. At hindi kayo ang arm para to engage in debates like this. For example, the U.S. intention revealed in the article, it's time to build forward Operation Base Sierra Madre, published in War on the Rocks, which fits perfectly in the sudden intensification of the PCG and the Philippine Navy challenged operations in the Ayungin Shoal. Maintindihan pa namin ang National Defense, Foreign Affairs, ang PCO, na magsalita ng mga patungkol dito, mga clarifications, mga gano'n. Pero itong ginagawa ninyo, kayo ang nagdadigest. Kayo na nag-i-interpret kung ano ang polisiya ng sambayan ng Pilipinas sa foreign policy. At Worse, pinalalabo nyo ang debate ukol sa national security. Dapat maging prudent kayo, therefore, that your spokesman ostensibly alarmed by foreign intervention. Kung kayo na-alarma sa foreign intervention, hindi ba dapat kayo maging concerned sa infiltration by American interests in the Philippines through overt, open source funding of mainstream and social media organizations, think tanks, and the academe, na madali namang ma-validate through their funding websites before targeting organizations such as ours through vicious speculation and dangerous innuendo. May litanya na mga issues na kailangan ma-clarify natin with the National Security Council, specifically the National Security Advisor. Starting with your basic definition of national security na napapansin na namin ay kakaiba yata. Different from that of your predecessor, Secretary Hermogenes Esperon Jr. O pakinggan natin tong statement ni Jude Esperon tungkol sa national security.
In the past decade, the concept of national security has dramatically evolved from its traditional focus on territorial defense and government survival to the promotion of economic development and the preservation of natural resources. Guided by this shift, we crafted the national strategy, this national security strategy that articulates our roadmap in building a stronger nation. In order to protect our most cherished democratic institutions and way of life, we will create an environment where peace and economic development will complement each other. We will address urgent national security concerns and cope with the rapidly changing global security environment in line with objectives set forth in the National Security Policy of 2017 to 2022. To defend our sovereignty and the integrity of our national territory, we will continue to develop and improve our defense, intelligence, and law enforcement capabilities to enable our troops to end communist insurgency, terrorism, and violent extremism. We will also bolster our position in the community of nations by strengthening diplomatic relations with our traditional allies, engaging non-traditional partners, and pursuing an independent foreign policy that gives primacy to our national interests. These endeavors will be sustained by medium-term socio-economic agenda that aims to lessen the tax burden on the poor, reduce income inequality, and improve the quality and accessibility of education and healthcare. We have also embarked on an ambitious infrastructure development program that will pave the way for rapid industrialization and modernization, thereby making our country the next top investment destination in Asia-Pacific region. I call on our people to stand behind our national security apparatus in carrying out this national security strategy that will strengthen the foundations of a secure, peaceful, modern, and prosperous Philippines. Signed, Rodrigo Roa Duterte.
Nakita niyo yun? Rodrigo Duterte statement. Napaka-comprehensive. Hindi na as narrow as merely military or police security. The traditional meaning of security expanded na into economic, expanded na into foreign relations, expanded na even to education and healthcare, infrastructure. Malawak na, hindi na narrow. Pero sa nakikita namin ngayon, kayo ay nakatutok lamang sa South China Sea. Kaya ang tanong ko, huwag nyo kaming tanungin, kaming publiko, huwag nyo kaming tanungin kung may naniniwala pa sa amin. Ang tanong, may naniniwala pa ba sa inyo? Ha? Dahil hindi klaro kung anong ginagawa nyo sa gobyerno, lampas na isang taon. Hindi pa maintindihan ng tao kung nasa ng direksyon, nasa ng priority, nasa ng bigat at dating ng gobyerno ito. So, credible ba kayo? Tanungin nyo ang inyong sarili. May nakikinig pa ba sa inyo? Mukhang paliit ng paliit. Bumagsak ng 15%, double digit. From June 23 to September 23 ng pulsation. Bakit? Dahil kinitigan ninyo ang perspektibo ng national security. So, ang tanong, sino ba dapat ang nagdedetermine ng national interest ng bayan? Mabanggit ni John Espero. The national interest. Sa ngayon, dahil sa COVID lalo na tayo ay nasa post-pandemic recovery, it is the economy stupid. At kaya nawawala na kayo ng puntos, ay dahil, tingnan nyo, napakalayo ninyo from the people's war that is now going on. Nandito kayo sa baba. The people's war is characterized by controlling inflation. Sa mga na-interview, 74% sinasabi yan ang pinaka-importante na national concern ngayon. Dahil sa nangyayari, post-pandemic, nagkaroon pa ng gera sa Ukraine, at ngayon may gera pa lalo na between Israel and the Hamas. That might explode into a bigger war. Increasing the pay of workers 49%, creating more jobs 27%, reducing the poverty of many Filipinos 25%. Addressing the problem of involuntary hunger 14%, and providing assistance to farmers, including selling their products. Double-digit concerns from 13 to 74% are all economic. Dadagdagan ng dalawa na non-economic. Fighting graft and corruption in government. Merong napiperceive na problema ang gobyernong ito sa aspeto ng korupsyon. Sa aspeto ng korupsyon, hindi lamang sa Office of the President, kasama na ang legislature. Kasama na, hindi lamang ang poder ni Presidente Marcos, kundi ang poder ng kanyang pinsan, si Martin Romualdez. At yung huling double digit, enforcing the law enforcement, criminality in the street and all that. Drugs. Yun ang mga most urgent national concerns. Nasaan ang Pangulo? Nasaan kayo sa NSA? Nasaan ang Department of Foreign Affairs? Nasaan ang Department of National Defense? Nasaan ang National Security Advisor? Nasaan? Dito sa defending the integrity of the Philippine territory against foreigners, which is only 7%. Yan ang gera ni Bongbong. It does not tally with the people's war. And I don't know kung saan siya humuhugot para bigyan ng prioridad. At maraming nagtataka kung bakit ang prioridad niya ay wala doon sa puso ng sambayan ng Pilipino. Meron siyang sariling agenda. Yan ay tatalakayin natin hindi sa show na ito. Dahil biniverify po natin yung source kung ano talaga ang ginagawa nitong Pangulo. Who determines our national interest? The absolute sovereign, the people of the Republic of the Philippines, collectively, are the absolute sovereign. Delegated, derivative, sovereign lang ang hawak ninyo sa gobyerno. Kaya huwag kayong mayabang, huwag kayong arugante, huwag kayong parang bossing namin. Hindi namin kayo bossing. From who? Pumunta tayo. What determines national security? What determines national interest? Ayan. Ang expenditure po, ang pera po ngayon, 95%, saan na pupunta ang pera nyo? Sa mga na-interview, 95% said, pagkain lamang. 5% na lang ang sobra. Ano pa ang mga malalaking gastusin that raises the alarm? Bayad sa elektrisidad, 62%. At by the way, dito sa food, hindi lamang rice, kundi other foods other than rice. Next, gasoline and diesel combined with transportation doon sa baba, 22 plus 13. O, ano yun? 35%. Affected ang transportation. Medicine and other health needs. Water, LPG, transportation. Yan ang mga double digit. At mas importante pa doon sa 4%. At cellphone load. My gosh. Ang pintig ng puso ng sambayan ng Pilipino, yan din ba ang pintig ng puso ninyo? Kayong mga nasa gobyerno. Tapos ito, ihaharap nyo sa amin itong Jonathan Malaya na ito, na hindi naman expert. Pakinggan natin ang sinasabi nitong Jonathan Malaya na ito.
As clearly stated by the 2016 arbitral ruling, Ayungin Shoal is well within the exclusive economic zone of the Philippines. Therefore, if there is a country that has a title to that area, it is the Republic of the Philippines. Now, what we do on a regular basis is to send supplies and provisions to our troops in BRP Sierra Madre, and that, as we have said repeatedly, is a legitimate exercise of Philippine jurisdiction, sovereign rights and sovereignty over the entire West Philippine Sea. So I don't understand where the statements of China is coming from. As I have repeated this, as I have told some people yesterday, and the press also yesterday, we should take statements from China with a grain of salt, because their statements collapses in the face of overwhelming evidence.
Doon sa minute 51 to minute 109, ito po ang unang policy nitong si Jonathan Malaya na sabihin niya, as clearly stated in the 2016 arbitral ruling, Ayungin Shoal is well within the exclusive economic zone of the Philippines. Okay, I will grant for the sake of argument na acceptable ang arbitral ruling. Otherwise, hindi tayo makakadebate. Hindi magtutugma ating mga punto de vista. So, i-assume ko na. Ha? Tama, sinasabi mo, Ayungin Shoal is well within the exclusive economic zone of the Philippines. Papakita ka pa kanina ng mapa, yung 200 nautical miles. Right? Pero conclusion mo, therefore, sabi mo, if there is a country that has a title to that area, it is the Republic of the Philippines. Aba, kung ikaw ay may titulo dyan na may papakita sa akin, Jonathan Malaya, ay ikalulugod ko. Alam mo ba na the arbitral ruling did not rule on anything on the Ayungin Shoal except that it is a low tide elevation incapable of any claims by itself. Ha? Bakit? The absence of the ruling is that the location has been militarized, thus precluding it. Nilalabas siya from any arbitral jurisdiction. Hindi na po pwede pong pumasok ang UNCLOS maritime entitlements pagka may military character na yung area. Alright. Yan ang unang fallacy. Wala kang mapapakitang titulo sa akin. The exclusive economic zone of the Philippines is not equivalent to a title because a title presumes ownership. Sa minute 110 to 131, fallacy number 2. Tama ka na naman. What we do on a regular basis to send supplies to our troops in BRP Sierra Madre. Yun ang premise mo. Pero anong konklusyon mo? And as we said repeatedly, is a legitimate exercise of our jurisdiction. Mali. Sovereign rights, tama. And sovereignty, mali. Over the entire West Philippine Sea, mali na naman. Nakita mo na? Ginujobos mo ang audience mo eh. Kasi alam mo, yung audience mo, hindi naman magbabasa yan ng UNCLOS at ng arbitral ruling. You are putting words into their mouths. You are improvising. You are the one engaged in disinformation. To point out, the resupply mission has been going on for the past 24 years. Limited by the agreement we mentioned earlier only to humanitarian needs, excepting building and constructing materials. Hindi ba? Yung may dala ng pagkain at humanitarian needs, pinalulusot ng China. Pero yung may dala ng building and construction materials, sinaharang nila. Jurisdiction? Hindi ba sabi nga ni Duterte, the Philippines is not in the possession of the area. Sabi ni Duterte, China is in possession of the area. So, paano ka magkakaroon ng jurisdiction dyan? Even the arbitral ruling admits that China is in possession of the area. At patungkol sa West Philippine Sea, wala hong international legitimacy yan. Because it was only created by the Administrative Order 29 by President B.S. Aquino III. Yung pong ating mapping agency na MRIA has not even secured any authorization or certification from the International Hydrographic Association, which is the mapping agency by UNCLOS. Huwag mong pag-transpose yung sovereignty sa sovereign rights. Kung pinagpapalit-palit mo ang meaning of things, umaalis ka sa definition of things, hindi mo alam kung anong sovereign right, that's distinguished from sovereignty. Hindi mo alam kung anong difference ng exclusive economic zone as distinguished from territory or territorial sea. Magkaiba ho yan eh. Pag sinabing rights, hindi mo pag-ahari yan, may karapatan ka lang. For economic, kaya nga economic zone, for economic purposes. To exploit the benefits of what is under the sea. Yung ibabaw ng tubig, hindi na sa iyo. Yung airspace sa taas, hindi na sa iyo. Pero sa sovereignty, over sovereign rights, lahat ng nasa ilalim ng seabed, lahat ng isda, pati yung tubig, sa lahat ng ibabaw ng tubig, sa lahat ng aerospace, sa iyo yan. It is your territory. At kung tubig yan, it is your territorial sea. So, huwag niyong i-jobos. Sabi nga, jobos. Ang mga usapin dito. Kaya, ngayon, kami nakakaintindi why you don't understand where the statement of China is coming from. Na sinabi mo sa iba, including media, na ang statement ng China is to be taken with a grain of salt because their statement collapses in the face of an overwhelming evidence. You are a high official of government. Wala kang respeto sa gobyerno ng ibang bansa. Bastos ka! May konti ka pang sarcasm. And yet here you admit you lack knowledge and information about the intricacies of the arbitral ruling, which makes me doubt kung nabasa mo nga yan o napag-aralan mo o na unclus kung yan talaga yung nabasa mo. Napaka-superficial ng iyong reference flow. In fact, in an interview with Panggugulo of the source in another network, you even asserted that China cannot say they did not participate in the proceedings. Nag-i-improvise ka ba? Tini-twist mo ba ang sitwasyon? Eh, di ba pinag-uusapan natin dito? Arbitral ruling? Kanino bang dokumento yung arbitral ruling? Hindi ba sa gobyerno ng Pilipinas? Award yan? Sa Pilipinas? So ikaw, ang statements mo ang dapat to be taken with a grain of salt. Because by admission, you don't understand the statement, where the statement of China is coming from. Ignoramus ka. Hindi mo naiintindihan ang principle of state consent in international law. Well, sasabihin ko sa iyo kung saan sa arbitral ruling nandyan yan. Paragraph 116. China has consistently rejected the Philippines' recourse to arbitration and has adhered to a position of non-acceptance and non-participation in the proceedings. It did not submit a counter-memorial in response to the Philippines memorial. It did not attend hearings on jurisdiction or on merits. It did not reply on the tribunal's invitations to comment on specific issues or substance. Hindi nag-advance ng pondo para magbayad sa cost of arbitration. And it has rejected and returned correspondence, reiterating on each occasion that it does not accept the arbitration initiated by the Philippines. Those are letra ng arbitral ruling. Tapos sasabihin mo, iti-twist mo. Hindi pwedeng sabihin ng China na hindi sila nag-participate. O sino? Saan galing? Saan galing ang posisyon ng China? Saan galing ang mga dokumento na sinabi? Dokumento ng China. Saan galing ang mga testimonya ukol sa Chinese position? Hindi ba yan ikinalam nung sinweldohan natin ng $7 million na mga lawyers natin na puro Amerikano at mga taga-Great Britain? 355 million pesos po ang binayad ninyo, mga kabansa, of your taxpayers' money for this, and that was not enough. Another 650 million, nearly 1 billion, was spent just for this arbitration. Bakit importante ang partisipasyon ng China? Because sa paragraph 637, article 296, item 2 ng UNCLOS, yung paragraph 637 sa arbitral ruling. Ito po, in blue, article 296 of the convention, which expressly provides, any decision shall have no binding effect. Pakinggan nyo mabuti, mga kabansa. Shall have no binding force except between the parties in respect of that particular dispute. Ibig sabihin, kung ano man ang arbitral award na yan, ay para doon lamang sa nag-participate. Ay hindi nag-participate ang China. So, ang award na yan ay para lamang sa Pilipinas. na kung nag-iisa ang Pilipinas, paano mai-enforce? Why? Because arbitration, it is the cooperation of Party A and Party B that will enforce the decision of the jurors, of the umpire. Kung iisa lang yan, sige, Pilipinas, enforce mo. Katulad na nangyayari ngayon. Kaya, sinasabi ko na sa inyo, walang pupuntahan yan pag brabado dyan ng ating mga Coast Guard. Pagbabrabado dyan ng ating mga Philippine Navy. Meron pang help from the US Navy, mga aeroplano ng mga banyaga na tumutulong. And there is even a suggestion of joint patrol. Pinalalaki nyo lang ang sunog. Wala namang pupuntahan. Bakit? Dahil pag ganyan ang usapan, hindi ho magpaparticipate ang China. At kung wala ang China, walang conflict resolution. Pinagmamalaki nyo pa na backed up kayo ng 25 countries? Sus! And then because of 25 countries recognition, pinagmamalaki nyo that you have international acceptance? Bakit? 25 countries lang ba ang meron sa mundo? Paano na yung great majority? Pangalawa, not a single word of the arbitral ruling can pertain to any of those 25 countries. Miski gumawa pa kayo dyan ng barkadahan. Yung mga dabarkads nyo, wala ho maitutulong sa inyo. China's participation is key to conflict resolution. Bakit? Sinasabi ko na nga kanina. Yung claim ng sovereignty rights does not jive with the claim of China of sovereignty. At yung claim ng China of sovereignty, ay hindi naman limited dyan sa 9-dash line. There is nothing in the arbitral ruling that China is bound to follow. And the ruling invalidates the 9-dash line, but this does not also bind China. Why? Kasi ang claim po ng China for sovereignty is based on historic rights. Binigay ba yan ang arbitral ruling sa inyo? Basahin natin in blue. In particular, the tribunal emphasizes that nothing in this award, paragraph 272, nothing in this award, wala, should be understood. Nakikinig ka ba, Jonathan Malaya? Should be understood to comment in any way on China's historic claim to the islands of the South China Sea. Ayan. Hindi sakop ang historic rights. Mga karapatan, mga pag-aari, mga teritoryo that has been bestowed throughout history. At karamihan dyan through war or through treaties or through customary international law. Predating UNCLOS. Ang argumento ng arbitral ruling is only based on one treaty. The United Nations Convention on the Laws of the Seas. Are you telling me that that is the only international? No! Sus mio. Mula pa po na magkaroon ng mga kasunduan ukol kung paano gagalaw ang mga bansa sa mahabang kasaysayan ng mga nasud, ng mga nasyon. Diyan po pinanganak ang international law at umusbong. China's cooperation is key to enforcement. Kasi nga, asymmetrical yung claim. So, ang kailangan, umakyat yung nasa ibaba at bumaba yung nasa kanan para magkaroon ng agreement, para magkaroon ng kooperasyon. Nakuha niyo mga kabansa? Yung nasa ibaba, kailangan umakyat. At yung nasa itaas, kailangan bumaba. Para magkaroon ng kasunduan at magkaroon ng kooperasyon sa ikabubuti ng dalawang bansa. At yan ay hindi sinasarhan ng China. No? Nagkaroon na po ng 5 bilateral consultative mechanism nung panahon ni Duterte. At yan ay nagbunga na ng 2 cooperative programs. Una, yung pagbalik ng mga mangingisda natin sa Scarborough Shoal at iba pang parte ng South China Sea. Wala yung nagpiniprevent yan. Wala na ho, matagal na ho. Even yung mayor na magsindok, nagsasabi na hindi, makakapangisda na ho kami. Yung mga fishermen, I can present to you interviews of fishermen. Wala na ho, naggugulo sa amin dito. Nakakapangisda na kami. Yun nga lang, may mga area, katulad ng lagoon sa loob ng Scarborough Shoal, huwag yung pasukin yun. Gwardyado ng China yun dahil itlugan po yun ng mga isda. Okay. So, yung sovereignty rights over 200 nautical miles ay iba sa sovereignty. SR is not equal to ST. And what we're presently doing is pushing China to hardball and ultimately stonewall. When that happens, we reach the ultimate international law that it's the final arbiter of sovereignty, which is the principle of might is right. Carl Thayer of Australia's Defense Academy defines sovereignty as the actual occupation of a given territory and effective administration and control. Also added to this definition that effective control presupposes assertion and the defense, which ang tawag natin ay bullying. Hindi po. Pinagtatawanan pa ninyo, yabang ninyo. Ano sabi nyo? Bakit kami hihingi ng permiso? In our own backyard? Ang problema, mga kabansa, you are not in possession of your own backyard. Kung inyo man yan. Kung sa utak ninyo, inyo yan. Bakit kayo natataboy dyan? Because China is exercising its effective control. And in the final analysis, that's the final arbiter of sovereignty in customary international law. So, might is right. May pinakita ba ang Estados Unidos na weapons of mass destruction nung bombahin niya ang Iraq? At ngayon, ang Israel ay sinasakop ang Gaza? Asa? Might is right. If you push it to the limits, yan ho ang magiging factor. Alright? So peaceful revolution has been underway. Panahon pa ni Gloria Macapagal-Arroyo, yung Joint Marine Seismic Understanding, hindi lamang with China, sumali ang Vietnam. And despite the animosities of the Scarborough Shoal and the arbitral proceedings and the building of China of islands under Benigno Simeon Aquino, tuloy-tuloy ho yung resupply mission ni Voltaire Gasmen. At sinabi ko na nga kanina, itong under Rodrigo Duterte ay 5 bilateral consultations or bilateral consultative mechanism that resulted in first for a fisheries protocol and second for a joint oil and gas understanding. And yet, for unconfirmed reasons, Ferdinand Marcos Jr. made a 180-degree turn from continuing the programs of Duterte and pursuing the visions of his father, and tracked his convoluted foreign policy after it returned from a meeting with Joe Biden in Washington, D.C. last May 2023. Pagdating po dito ay titigil ko muna ang aking diskurso because I've covered so much already. At kung meron mga statements, ay magbabasa po tayo. Comments. Osman Mohammed Zin, President, the truth is out. And they're scared because they're behaving like a fool. Tama po yan. Alain P.S. Loned, mga tao kasi ng CIA, akala maluloko nila ang mga tao marunong tumingin ng history. Hindi nyo na uli kami masasakop mga kano. Kaya kayo dito sa Pilipinas. Noel Rivera, pinanood ko ang interview kay Rafi Alunan and what he said reinforces my conclusion that the powers that these problem is racism. Ayan, sinasabi ko. Xenophobia. Ha? Pagtingin sa kulay ng balat ng tao, sa kaisipan, at bias, and failure to accept anything other than a US-led unipolar world unless magbago ang trajectory na pinagagawa ng gobyerno. I don't want to imagine saan pupulutin ng Pilipinas. When the multipolar BRICS, yung po ang Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa-led world prevails. Yung po ang way to the future from one superpower, one hegemonic power, one unipolar power to a multipolar world. I believe the West Philippine Sea issue is manufactured in the same breath as the weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, Uyghur massacre, etc., to provide justification for military expansion and intervention. Ginagawa tayong tanga. Review Channel, salamat sa ganitong live stream. Marami pang Pilipino ang naliliwanagan sa totoong issue sa West Philippine Sea. At ngayon mga kabansa, napansin nyo, wala tayong binanggit dito na materyales ng China. Ang pinagtuunan natin ng diskurso dito ay mismo itong dokumento na pinagmamalaki nila ng tagumpay daw ng Pilipinas. Itong 2016 arbitral ruling, which we have to grant in order na madebate natin siya. Bago magpatuloy mga kabansa, salamat kay Antonio Parlade for endorsing my third bestseller. Congratulations, Kuya Ado, for this very revealing piece which everyone should read. At sabi niya sa inyong mga interesado magbasa, if you love your democracy, read it. If you want to support it, buy it. If you want to expose real culprits of your democracy's demise, share it. Mag-text lamang po kayo sa 0917-336-4366 kung gusto nyong umorder. Ito po ang third bestseller ko, The Poverty of Power, back to back. No? Ang back cover, The Power of Poverty. Nakataas, sama-sama tayo sa pagbangon, pero hanggang ngayon nakalugmok tayo dahil hindi niya sinunod ang kanyang programa noong eleksyon. Ang continuity program sa administration ni Duterte at ang fulfillment ng vision ng kanyang ama of political liberation, economic emancipation, and social comfort. Text 0917-336-4366. And in conclusion, mga kabansa, gusto kong basahin itong napakagandang editorial contribution ni Lorraine Marie Badoy. Siya nga pala ay isang doktor at abogada pa. Sinamit niya ito noong November 1 sa Daily Tribune. Dear Editor, President Bongbong Marcos recently issued a call to arms to the armed forces of the Philippines. We must be ready, he said. Our AFP must be capable of securing and defending the archipelago from emerging threats. Ito po ang video ka.
We must be ready. Our armed forces must be capable
of securing and defending the archipelago from emerging threats.
This was right on the heels, sabi ni Lorraine, of President Biden's cheating. Quote, the U.S. commitment to the Philippines is ironclad, in reference to the Ayungin Shoal incident where, amazingly enough, mainstream media was around to capture and give their particular spin meant to agitate the Filipino people. Let's play the tape.
I want to be clear. I want to be very clear. The United States defense commitment to the Philippines is ironclad. The United States defense agreement to the Philippines is ironclad. Any attack on the Filipino aircraft vessels or armed forces will invoke our mutual defense treaty with the Philippines.
This lends credence to claims by international relations experts, sabi ni Lorraine, that this is part of a deliberate policy by the Philippine government, as dictated upon by Washington, to spotlight China's brute force, quote-unquote, in asserting control over what the Philippines claim is theirs. Kinote niya si John Steinbeck, assertion ni John Steinbeck that all war is a symptom of man's failure as a thinking animal rings true, because there exists a middle way, more peaceful, prudent, and pragmatic thought through diplomatic channels. Ayun po sinabi ni John Steinbeck, ano po, na ang gera ay sintomas, ay sintomas ng failure ng katauhan bilang isang animal na merong kaisipan. Mga kabansa, tuloy natin ang letter. But unfortunately, this does not sit well with Uncle Sam's agenda. The U.S. military-industrial complex, together with its accomplices in media and government, would have us believe in the inevitability of war. They beat us down with narratives and images beamed by the mainstream media that manipulate us to full patriotic rage, that wring out every bit of hope we might have left for peace. Ginagatungan po tayo para ma-distract tayo away from peace at makipagbasagan na lang tayo ng ulo. Pero sabi po ni Lorraine, but I say war is not inevitable. Peace is. While the worst of humanity hurtles us towards the total destruction of our beloved Philippines, there stands before them humans who are saying, katulad po ng programang ito, na sinasabi namin, you will not pass. Anya ni Lorraine, we have not forgotten the shameless legacy of America's aggressive wars, unprovoked wars not fought in self-defense, that created carnage, millions of refugees, and irreversible destruction of countries. Baka kabansa, ilan ang namatay sa Iraq, sa pambobomba sa Iraq? Ilan ang namatay sa Afghanistan? Ilan ang namatay? Kalahating milyon na raw ang namamatay sa Ukraine. At ilan ang mamamatay pa sa Gaza Strip at sa Middle East? Sinasabi nila, ironclad ang commitment ng US sa Pilipinas. Pakinggan natin ang mismong ama ni Bongbong Marcos dito sa video cut na ito.
The United States is not necessarily bound to immediately react because the provision of the Mutual Defense Pact is that you will immediately take steps as is necessary to meet the contingency in accordance with your constitutional processes. What does that mean? That means that you go to the Senate and the House of Representatives. What does that mean? That means delay. while we are dying there.
Tuloy ni Lorraine, we will not be the next Syria, the next Iraq, the next Afghanistan, or the next Ukraine. We will not bequeath to our children a country that is more graveyard than country. The dead bodies of our children will not wash to shore. Our people will not be refugees thrown into the open sea searching for home. We are home now. We are home now. And this is where we live out our days in peace. The Philippines is for Filipinos, and we are not vassals nor slaves of anyone. We will instead speak peace, and we will fight for it. Together with the rest of humanity, we say, war is not inevitable, but peace is. Maraming salamat, Lorraine, for this inspiring moment at the door of uncertainties plaguing our nation today. Malapit na pong magkaalaman kung sino talaga ang tunay na traidor sa panahong ito. Salamat po sa lahat ng nanood at nakinig ngayong araw na ito. Abangan ninyo po kami ulit alas 3 sa susunod na Sabado sa isa na namang episode ng Ang Maestro. Ito po ang inyong lingkod, kabansa Paglinawan, na nagpapaalam ng muli. God bless the Philippines. God bless us all.
Get ready.